Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful, absolutely transformational tools available right now. But more importantly, we're going to talk about how to actually use it without completely compromising your digital life. We're looking at how to balance that incredible, mind-blowing AI automation power with some very necessary security boundaries. It's an amazing time to be working with AI, but if you're basically handing over the keys to your digital workspace, you really need to know exactly which locks you're leaving open.
Tech journalist Manor Faisal really hit the nail on the head when she said Calco is one of Claude's most underrated products. And she is completely 100% right. It's a feature that literally keeps power users from canceling their subscriptions just because it takes so much tedious busy work right off your plate. But to confidently hand over that busy work, you've got to master its boundaries. And that is exactly what we are going to master today. So if you haven't actually used Cowork yet, it's essentially a super approachable AI agent built for non-technical users. It utilizes Claude Code's underlying agentic architecture, but it wraps all that complex stuff in a completely user-friendly interface. That means Cowork is the one doing all the heavy lifting. It's browsing the web, using your connected apps, reading your files, and carrying out multi-step tasks. And the best part? You don't have to learn any intimidating terminal commands to make it happen. But precisely because it is so incredibly capable, we need to be cautious. So to confidently delegate those tasks, we're going to walk through a structured 5-step security audit today. Approvals, auto versus manual, locking down desktop access, securing files and folders, cleaning up browser permissions, and protecting your training data. Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, approvals, auto versus manual. Right off the bat, we're looking at the classic trade-off, convenience versus security. Cowork gives you a couple of different options for how it gets your permission to do things. You've got auto mode, where Claude just keeps chugging along on a task without stopping to ask you about every single step. It basically decides on its own what's safe and what isn't. And then you have manual mode, which requires human approval for absolutely every action. Now, auto mode is incredibly tempting, right? It saves so much time. But if you're letting Cowork anywhere near your important work, Anthropic actually recommends using manual mode. This is absolutely crucial when you're dealing with sensitive files, personal accounts, or anything that's hard to undo, like sending emails or buying things online. I highly, highly suggest you choose to be the one saying yes. And beyond just the security aspect, there's actually a hidden, very tangible cost to auto mode. Because auto mode forces Claude to continuously perform background safety checks on its own actions, it just burns through your usage limits. In fact, changing this one single setting can drop your token burn by a massive 45%. No way, right? So switching to manual not only keeps you secure, it literally saves your usage cap. All right, moving on to Section 2, locking down desktop access. Anthropic issues a pretty stark warning here, and you really need to hear this. There is absolutely no sandbox between Claude and your active applications. When you enable computer use, which is the feature that allows Claude to click, type, open apps, and navigate around when it can't just rely on a browser, you are basically giving it the master keys to your Mac or PC. It can interact with your desktop exactly like you do. Nothing is walled off. Let's break down what that actually entails. How does Claude actually see your screen? Well, it takes screenshots. This means it can potentially view anything visible inside an app you've granted it access to. And yeah, that includes highly sensitive documents or private chats you might just happen to have open on the side. Anthropic openly warns that their safeguards are not perfect here, and they strongly recommend avoiding giving it access to sensitive apps entirely. You should really only turn this feature on when a task genuinely absolutely requires it. And for sure, make use of Cowork's block list to automatically deny Claude access to your most private applications. Bringing us to Section 3, securing files and folders. Once again, we see this constant battle between convenience and security. It is so incredibly easy to just connect your entire main documents folder so you don't have to bother uploading files individually. But seriously, think about what is actually in there. Personal financials, your saved passwords, tax records. If you grant broad access, you are exposing all of that. It is simply not worth risking a permanent deletion or some accidental data leak just to save a couple of seconds of upload time. Instead, Anthropic recommends this incredibly simple 3-step workflow. First, create a brand new, dedicated task folder. Second, copy only the essential files Claude actually needs for this specific job into that new folder. And third, connect Cowork specifically to that new working folder. This guarantees your AI coworker only ever sees what it absolutely needs to see to get the job done.
Honestly, one folder is plenty.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, cleaning up browser permissions.
When Cowork needs to navigate websites to complete a task, you're going to be asked to grant permissions. Now, you can choose a one-time pass or you can click Always Allow Actions on this site. But the danger here is that those Always Allow permissions add up incredibly fast over time. And worse, they remain permanently active in the background until you manually dig into the settings and revoke them. You absolutely do not want a massive backlog of permanent AI access to dozens of random websites just sitting there. So to fix this, you need a strict checklist. You got to review those Chrome extension permissions regularly and revoke that always allow status for sites you aren't actively using with Cowork. Anthropic really stresses limiting access strictly to highly trusted sites. And why is that? Because web content is actually a major source of prompt injection attacks. That's where malicious text hidden on a website could literally hijack your AI agent. Keeping your permissions totally clean minimizes that external vulnerability.
Finally, Section 5, protecting your training data.
Given how much intimate access Cowork has to your daily workflow and files, you probably want to keep that data private, right? Well, it just takes 3 quick clicks. Open your Claude settings, navigate over to the Privacy tab, and definitively turn off the toggle that says, Help improve our AI models. Doing this ensures your future coding sessions, your private conversations, the whole shebang won't be swept up into Anthropic's future training runs.
But, and this is a crucial caveat you absolutely must be aware of, disabling this setting protects your future sessions. It cannot, however, retroactively pull back data that has already been included in a training run that's begun, or data that's already baked into an already trained model. That is exactly why it is so critical to change this setting right now before you let Cowork anywhere near your truly important work.
As Mahnur Faisal summarized in her article, none of these settings are meant to scare you away from using Cowork. Actually, it's the exact opposite. Taking these security steps, moving to manual approvals, limiting computer and file access, locking down your browser, and protecting your data, that is exactly what empowers you. It allows you to confidently delegate your busy work knowing you have built an unbreakable fence around your sensitive information.
Getting the absolute most out of an AI agent does not mean giving it unrestricted access to everything by default. It means working smarter and safer. So I'll leave you with this to reflect on as you look at your own workspace setup. Are you actively managing your AI? Or by leaving all those default settings wide open, is your AI quietly managing you? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Go secure those settings right now, and I'll catch you on the next one.